The Dragonback series by Timothy Zahn. Book 3, Dragon and Slave. Chapter 26.
Dracos' first instinct was to get out of there, to duck out of sight, pull the door closed with the tip of his tail, and come back later when he could deliver his package without being seen. In Noy's feverish state, surely the boy would decide afterward that this had been just a dream. But the very unexpectedness of Noy's question had nailed his paws to the floor, and now he was stuck, because there was no way he could leave a sick child wondering if he was about to die, especially not when he thought the appearance of a Kadar warrior was the omen of that death.
"No,"
he assured the boy in his calmest voice.
"It is not time. Not at all."
The boy blinked. "But
I have brought you some food,"
Dracos explained. Coming all the way into the hut, he closed the door behind him.
"Also some fruit juice,"
he added.
"You must be very thirsty."
The boy stared at Dracos and came around the side of the bed, never taking his eyes off the Kadar for a moment.
"You are thirsty, are you not?"
Dracos tried again as he slipped off his backpack. Noy nodded silently.
"It is well that I brought this, then,"
Dracos went on, choosing one of the bottles and prying off the seal.
"I hope you like. I believe this is called grappo juice."
He held the bottle toward Noy. The boy's mouth worked as if he was trying to say something. His gaze had shifted now from the Kadar's face to the bottle and the claws holding it.
"Go ahead,"
Draco said encouragingly, moving it a little closer to him.
"It will be good for you. Drink."
Slowly, Noy took the bottle. Staring down into it, he lifted it to his mouth. A few drops slithered down the corners of his lips, but most of that first drink made it inside where it belonged.
"How does it taste?"
Dracos asked. Noy looked up at the Kadar, then back into the depths of the bottle. A little funny, he said.
"Yes, that is the way of a fever,"
Dracos agreed.
"Foods often do not taste normal."
Noy drank again. Then all at once the strength seemed to go out of his arms. The bottle started to slip from his grip. Dracos' forepaw snaked out smoothly, catching the bottle before it could fall.
"Very good,"
he said as he set it down beside the cot where Noy could reach it.
"Perhaps you should rest now. You can drink more in a little while."
"Okay," the boy said. He was starting to sag a little, and his breathing seemed more labored. "Could I have?" He paused, looking around as if searching for something.
"Another drink?"
Draco suggested, picking up the bottle.
"Certainly. Allow me to hold it for you."
The boy drank deeper this time before coming up for air. "Still tastes funny," he said, panting a little. His eyelids were definitely sagging now.
"It will taste better tomorrow,"
Draco said, wishing he had had more experience with human sicknesses. Too late, he wished he'd thought to bring Jack's comm clip out here with him. Perhaps Uncle Verge could have helped him know how to deal with it.
"I will give you one more drink, then I shall let you rest."
"No," Noy gasped. His hand fumbled for Dracos' forepaw, gripping it with an odd combination of desperation and weakness. "Don't leave me. Please, don't leave me." Dracos twitched his tail in surprise.
"I must," he said. "I cannot stay."
"No," Noy said. His voice had sunk to a whisper, as if he'd already used up all of his remaining strength. "Please." Dracos reached out with his other forepaw and stroked the boy's sweaty forehead. A bitter memory floated up in front of his eyes. The dead Shantine aboard his ship, the Haven Seeker, after the enemy ambush over Iota Clestes. Friends, companions, and fellow warriors, but there had been nothing he could do for them. Noy, in contrast, was almost a stranger. But unlike those dead friends, there was something Dracos could do for him. Something small, perhaps even something meaningless. But something.
Very well,
He told the boy quietly.
I will stay with you for as long as I can. Lie down now and rest.
Noi's eyes were already closed as he sank back down onto his cot. Don't leave me, the boy murmured again. I'm scared.
I will wait with you a while,
Dracos promised, moving the food and juice containers aside so that he could crouch comfortably beside Noi's cot.
And do not be afraid. You have nothing to fear as long as I am here.
Noi shivered once, his eyes moving restlessly beneath the closed lids. Was he becoming delirious, sliding even deeper into his fever? Draco sighed to himself, wishing even harder he'd brought the comm clip.
I will sing to you,
He said, for lack of anything better to say.
a song of danger and courage, of fear and victory. Would you like that?
Okay, Noi breathed, his lips barely moving. And so Dracos began to sing. Quietly, softly, gently, songs of encouragement and hope and strength. Some of them were the old ballads of the Kada that he had learned as a cub. Others were his own songs, created from the joys and sorrows of his own heart. Songs that reminded him of his people and of their war against the Valaga, and of the home they had been forced to abandon. Songs that reminded him of the terrible responsibility that had been placed between his claws. Noi lay restlessly through most of it, but his face and body twitched in his sleep. Every so often, he would wake up and Dracos would give him another drink of juice. He would then lie down again and drift back into his troubled sleep. And Dracos would stroke the boy's forehead or rest his forepaw comfortingly on his shoulder and resume his singing. The night was near its end when the twitching and muttering faded away, and Noi seemed to settle into a deeper and more restful sleep. His forehead seemed cooler to the touch, too, but Dracos had no idea whether that was good or bad. What he did know was that it was long past time for him to go.
I must go, Noi,
He said.
I will come again later.
The boy just swallowed and rolled over, sound asleep. Dracos moved the food and juice bottles back to where Noi could reach them and slipped out of the hut. The trip back to the Chakuk family side of the hedge was uneventful. He reached the frying pan just as the stars were starting to fade into a reddish glow on the eastern sky.
Jack,
He called quietly, his snout pressed to the gap beneath the door. There was no answer.
Jack,
He called a bit more loudly. If the Brumgas had come and taken him away. About time, Jack's voice came irritably from inside. Come on, get in. Draco shoved the wooden slab inside. Jack's fingers appeared beneath the door, beckoning impatiently. The Kada set his paw on the hand and shifted into two-dimensional form, sliding up his host's arm as he did so. Man, but you had me worried, Jack muttered as Dracos moved to his usual position across Jack's back. I thought for sure you'd been nailed. What did you do? Take the scenic route?
Not precisely,
Draco said.
The errand took longer than expected.
No kidding, Sherlock, Jack said. You have any idea what time it is?
I know it is close to my 6-hour time limit,
Draco said. He hadn't realized just how close, actually, until now. The strength flowing into him as he rested against Jack's skin made him realize just how weak he had been before his return. With Noi's illness filling his thoughts, he hadn't even noticed. So what took so long?
I was with Noi,
Draco said.
He was afraid, so I sat with him a while and...
Wait a minute, Jack interrupted. What do you mean he was afraid? He saw you?
Yes, but do not be concerned,
Draco said.
He
saw you? Jack repeated, sounding stunned. Oh, that's terrific. That's absolutely terrific.
It will not be a problem,
Dracos insisted, feeling a little annoyed at Jack's reaction.
He was in a high fever. If he remembers anything at all, he will undoubtedly conclude it was a dream.
Jack didn't say anything, but Dracos could feel the boy's hands tightening into fists.
It was necessary,
The Kadak continued firmly.
He was afraid and sick and alone. Would you not have done the same if you were there?
Yeah, but I wasn't there, Jack bit out. The words were harsh, but his tone was beginning to calm a little bit. I was here, freezing to death and worried sick about you.
I am sorry,
Draco said, a flash of guilt replacing his earlier annoyance.
I did not intend to cause you concern, but it was something I had to do.
Yeah, I know, Jack said with a sigh. Just one of those Kada poet warrior things, huh? Like pulling that guy Dumbarton out of the hot dirt on Iota Clestes?
Yes,
Draco said.
Interesting that you still remember even the man's name.
What, you don't?
I remember the incident, certainly,
Draco said.
But I had not made a point of the name. Certainly none of it was any of large importance in my mind. It was a very minor act of mercy, as such things go. One of many that a Kada warrior does as a matter of course.
I guess maybe it's because it was the first time I saw you do something like that, Jack said. First time I saw anyone do something like that, come to think of it.
And it turned out all right,
Dracos pointed out.
We escaped safely.
I still think it was a waste of effort, Jack said. Even if we ever run into him again, which we probably won't, the guy sure isn't going to walk up and thank you.
Reward and gratitude are not the point of such deeds,
Draco said.
The point is to do what is right without thought of benefit or reward. Speaking of benefits, did Lisa ever return?
Well, she returned all right, Jack said with a snort, over and over again, like burps from a bad meal. Dracos frowned.
I do not understand.
First, she brought a blanket that didn't fit under the door, Jack explained. She took it back and brought another one. That one she managed to stuff in. Waste of time. The thing wasn't very warm.
Where is it?
Dracos asked, looking around. Back there behind the mesh, Jack said. I didn't want room service tripping over it if someone actually decides to feed me.
So she came here 2 more times?
Actually, she came 3 more times, Jack said. The third time she brought more of those pancake things. I saved some if you want them.
Thank you,
Draco said, lifting his head part of the way off of Jack's shoulder and nudging aside the shirt with his snout. Jack offered him a pancake, and he scooped it into his mouth with a flick of his tongue. It was dry and rather chewy, but he was too hungry to care.
I am surprised she would take such a risk so many times.
You're not supposed to talk with your mouth full, Jack said. Yeah, I've been wondering about that too, especially since her thumbleness is probably running her ragged during the day. She ought to be dead on her feet, not scurrying around like a mouse with insomnia.
With what?
Sleeplessness, Jack said. Can't sleep, so you get up and play cards or something.
Ah,
Draco said.
Perhaps dolems do not need much sleep.
Maybe, Jack said. That doesn't explain why she wants to play hide and seek with Brumgan patrols, especially after that big speech she gave me way back when about having to look out for yourself.
Perhaps she is one of those who speak one way, but secretly act another,
Draco suggested. Don't say it, Jack warned.
Do not say what?
Dracos asked. You're talking about me, right? Jack growled. I talk tough, but then I send you out to get fruit juice for Noi.
I was not even going to mention you,
Dracos protested.
Truly.
Yeah, Jack said, not sounding convinced. Speaking of which, how is he?
I do not know,
Draco said.
He drank 1.5 bottles of fruit juice and appeared to be sleeping better when I left him. but I do not have any experience with human illnesses.
I should have given you the comm clip, Jack said, shaking his head. You could have called Uncle Verge. Well, maybe we can both get out of here tomorrow night. Anyway, all that juice should have helped. Thanks for doing that.
It was my pleasure and my duty,
Draco said.
And speaking of food...
No, right. Jack held up another pancake. Here. Dracos had just finished the last one when he sensed the approach of a distant footsteps.
Someone is coming,
he warned Jack, listening hard.
3 Brumgas from the Sound.
Oh, good, Jack said sourly. Room service has finally showed up. A minute later, the door was unlocked and swung open.
You!
The lead Brumga rumbled.
Come!
What? Jack mumbled, sounding as if he had just been startled awake. The Brumga didn't bother to repeat the order. He merely reached in and hauled Jack out.
You will come,
he said, setting the boy down around the side of the frying pan and giving him a shove toward the house.
The Penjan Gazin wants you.